Oh, by the way, I have to do a quick aside just to tell you, okay, I don't want to forget this.
Yeah.
I think that your TikToks and your streams and you're explaining the law and cases to lay people, you do an excellent job of
Thank
that. I mean, a
you.
really amazing job of
Thank
educating the
you.
public,
That's
and
what's up.
you deserve so much credit.
Thank you.
Um, just an awesome job.
I
So
appreciate that so much.
you may not be a lawyer, but
I'm not.
you get most of it.
Thank
She
You're
you.
able to
dives
explain it
deep.
to other lay folks.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Maybe I don't want to say you've missed your calling because you seem to be in a perfect spot.
She
Oh,
missed it.
I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to interview and talk to lawyers.
no, I think you maybe have found it because you do such a good job of explaining this.
Thank you.
Now, if you're not ready, then go ahead and tell me you're not ready.
I object to you getting records. You've been intrusive into people's personal lives.
In other words, the car didn't hit him, and he wasn't hit by the car.
I'm not a lawyer, but are y'all keeping up? I'm not a lawyer, but
The debrief.
hello and welcome to another episode of I'm Not a Lawyer, but
The debrief.
I am Melanie, aka I'm Not a Lawyer, but, and I'm joined by my co-host.
Gooseby. How y'all doing?
And I'm talking a little fast because we have a very special guest that I'm so excited to talk to. We are joined today by Mr. Doug Weinstein. He is, you can put him up on the screen. He is the, yes, he is the attorney for Diamante Kendrick, aka Yak Gotti, one of the co-defendants in the YSL RICO trial. And as you know, we've been talking about this on this platform as well as all of my I'm Not a Lawyer But platforms. And so we are so excited because a ton has happened in the last couple of days.
Yeah, it has. It has. Yesterday was a good day.
Yes. And so we want to dive right in. I would love to talk about the last thing that happened, which is the release of the unredacted transcript for the
Okay.
ex parte meeting that happened. That really started a lot. There was already a ton going on, but that kicked off a lot of things. And so with the release of that, I would love to hear your thoughts, any immediate reactions you'd like to share, surprising things, not surprising, anything you have to offer in terms of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're really thrilled that that transcript has come out. You know, we've been asking for it for what, 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And the judge's position on that had been, let's just say, evolving over time from absolutely not to let me take a look to I may redact it.
Right.
And then for whatever reason, and I've got ideas, but for whatever reason, he decides to release it yesterday. So, of course, we're all like refreshing, waiting for the email to come out with the transcript in it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess it came out when I was at dinner last night, and I messed up my wife by saying, I'm sorry, I got to go read this right now. But, you know, the transcript, it pretty much supports what was in the affidavit from what I learned from my source, which is the same source that Brian had.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, not exactly everything was there, but I think the gist of it was all there. And, I'm glad the public's going to get to read it and see what
Yeah.
happened in there because I think it was completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
We
100%.
weren't, so I could go on about that, but yeah, I think the transcript, it's great that we have it. And we saw what happened, and it's a shame that that happened, really.
Yeah, absolutely. We read it yesterday, and I did the same. I was refreshing and waiting for it to come in,
Yeah.
and then rereading and making sure what I read made sense. And so it was a ton. One of the questions that I have is that you obviously filed the motion for Judge Glanville to be recused, and then the writ of mandamus happened after that, which was filed with the Supreme Court. That
Right.
was kicked down. You then refiled with the Superior Court. And how does this, yesterday, Judge Glanville coming in and at the end of this hearing saying, I'm going to actually defer this, how does that intercede or interrupt the writ of mandamus, that process that had already been started? Does it stop that process?
Well, we really don't need it anymore because he
Okay.
gave us, yesterday, he gave us everything that we've been asking for.
Yeah.
Everything that I've been asking for since June the 12th. So that writ of mandamus, that petition for a writ of mandamus that was filed in Fulton, there's no point going forward with that because
Okay.
we asked for the transcript, the unredacted transcript.
You got it.
Presumably that's what we received yesterday. We asked for him to refer this out on the recusal issue. He's done that, which, by the way, should have happened on June the 12th. So he's gone and done that. I did not ask for a stay in Fulton like I did with the Supreme Court, but we got the stay.
Yeah.
So we've got everything we asked for, arguably and more.
Yeah.
So no need to go through with that.
Got it. Okay.
I have a question. With the waiting on the new judge to be presented, do all the defendants have to stay in jail? Do any of them get bonds or?
Well,
does that work?
the Judge Glanville's no longer acting on our case. So there really isn't a judge that can act on any bond motions right now. Perhaps the new judge assigned could, but I'm not going to speak for the other lawyers or their clients, but at the present time, we're not going to be asking for bond for Mr. Kendrick. We're going to wait and see how this recusal plays out, how that affects the trial, what happens then, and we'll take it one step at a time. Certainly, we want him out of Rice Street. That's not someplace anyone deserves to be locked up for any reason. It's a hellhole. So we want him out of there. He's been in there for 26 months, but we're not asking for bond right now.
Got it. Can you talk about, there were a lot of, people who are obviously locked into this case, and understanding what chief judge means, and the fact that Judge Glanville is the chief judge. And so can you just talk a little bit about what that role or title means? Is he the quote unquote boss of the other Superior Court judges? Is that how that works? Or what does it mean?
God bless you.
Thank you.
It's really more of an administrative role within the courthouse. So he's not necessarily the boss of the other judges. It doesn't quite work that way.
Okay.
So they're all equal. Maybe he's a little more equal than the rest. But it's more of an administrative role that he plays.
Got it. So my next question, I'm rolling right through these, but feel free to interrupt at any time. So if a recusal happens, then what happens? Does that mean a mistrial? Does that mean you pick up where you left off? Is it a new jury? What would that look like after?
Well, those are great questions. And, those are questions that I myself have to some degree. And myself and Katie Hingerty and Jay Apt, who all represent Diamante Kendrick, we've gone through and we've plotted various paths depending on what occurs going forward. So, I think that if Judge Glanville is recused, and obviously we believe he should be recused or we wouldn't have filed that motion, if he's recused, they'll have another judge to replace Judge Glanville. Then if you look at the case law and what happens, if he's recused, you're supposed to basically unwind everything back to the point where I initially asked for his recusal and he failed to recuse himself. That would mean rewinding things to June the 12th.
Right.
A lot has happened since June the 12th. So, we've heard from Mr. Copeland. He's testified. There have been rulings. There have been objections. All of this has occurred.
Yeah.
Can you unwind this trial to June the 12th? Can the jury unhear what they've heard since June the 12th? Those are great questions, and I know I'm not fully answering your question, but we'll be addressing those should Judge Glanville get recused. And I guess you can imagine where we being Mr. Kendrick, where we will stand on that.
Yeah, got it.
Is there a world where this trial is a mistrial? Because
sure there is.
What you just said, it seems like it will just be a debacle of just craziness.
Sure, there's certainly a world where this becomes a mistrial.
Okay.
Yeah, there is. And of course, and then if there's a mistrial for whatever reason, then the prosecutor has to, the DA's office has to decide what they want to do. Do they want to retry this under the same indictment? Do they want to re-indict it? Do they want to try to give some plea offers, some better plea offers. I mean, it falls back onto the DA's office as to what they want to do at that point. Um, I think at the present time, I think the trial's going very well for us. I think anyone that's been watching this can see that the state hasn't come close to proving any of the charges against Mr. Kendrick beyond a reasonable doubt. So it's not that the case is going bad, and if we're forced into a position of a mistrial, it won't be because we want one. It'll be because we've been goaded into one by the actions of the prosecutor in calling this ex parte hearing, by the actions of the judge in holding this ex parte hearing. But it's not a position that Mr. Kendrick wants to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I can assume this answer, and you've said it already, but how? Okay, the platform is I'm not a lawyer, but so obviously we're not. But even in just consuming the content, all of the readings and things that I consume and look at, how, I'm going to use just the word I typically would use, how wild is it that this ex parte meeting happened? Like, was it as shocking and insane for you as it was for all of us non-legal experts saying, are you serious? Is this what's happening?
Why do you say it wasn't as shocking or insane for me as for y'all? I mean,
Fair point.
I've been a lawyer. I am a lawyer, I guess. I've been a lawyer for over 25 years. Oh, by the way, I have to do a quick aside just to tell you, okay, I don't want to forget this.
Yeah.
I think that your TikToks and your streams and your explaining the law and cases to lay people, you do an excellent job of that. I mean, a really amazing job of educating the public. And
That's
you
what's up.
deserve so much credit.
Thank you.
Just an awesome job. So
I appreciate that so much.
you may not be a lawyer, but you get most of it. And you're able to explain it to other lay folks.
Thank you.
Maybe I don't want to say you've missed your calling because you seem to be in a perfect spot.
She missed it.
I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to interview and talk to lawyers.
No. I think you maybe have found it because you do such a good job of explaining this.
Thank you.
This was batshit crazy.
Yeah.
There we go.
I love it.
No, I was stunned, especially just everything around it. I mean, there are occasions where ex parte hearings, ex parte meetings can take place.
Okay.
They're rare in criminal. They're more common in civil, but there's very specific circumstances that justify them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe that this ex parte meeting was not justified.
Yeah.
And then just the way we were kept in the dark.
I know.
I mean, we didn't know any more than you guys did. We're sitting around on the morning of June 10th going, what's going on? Is this just like another late start? And where are the prosecutors?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I see the second team over there, but where are their superstars? Like what's going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, when the judge came back on the bench, you saw Brian Steele try to find out what's going on.
Uh-huh.
And Judge Glanville just wasn't having any of it. So we found out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the way you all found out, was there like a mole in his camp?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm not going to tell you how we found out.
He can't.
Okay. Wait,
But it's okay. You can ask me anything.
that's it. You
Like I
said-
told you, you ask me anything. I just may not answer you.
One of the
funny.
things that you just were touching on that I do want to ask, there is a lot of attention on, this case. There is a lot from people like me who are just, recapping what's happening daily. There is Thugger, I think, or Thugger Daily on Twitter, who is every day recapping. There's a ton of coverage.
He does a fantastic job,
He
too.
does
by
an
the way.
amazing job. Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. So good.
Yeah.
How do you guys interpret that or take that? Do you like that? Do you not? Like, how does that feel for you guys and the clients? I'm always so curious because one of the things I try to be very conscious of is that this is not entertainment. These are people's lives, right? Like, these are people's lives at stake. That, there are victims, there are defendants, there are a ton of real life things happening. And so regardless of me covering a case or making a video, I try to make sure that the humanity in it is there and remains. And I try to be respectful of that. And so from your perspective, how does all of this, how do you take all of this? Is it good, bad? Do you want us to stop? Do you want us to keep going? What is that?
Yeah. Again, I'm just speaking personally, and at this point, I'm not even speaking for the other attorneys who work with me representing Mr.
Sure.
Kendrick, but I'm all in favor of it. I mean, Diamante Kendrick has a constitutional right to a public trial. You've seen, if you've watched it, you've seen me fuss whenever the judge has tried to shut down having witnesses broadcast by video.
Yeah.
I believe that that's part of his constitutional right to a public trial.
Yeah.
He's accused of serious crimes that he did not commit. So to the extent that the public can watch what's going on and learn and see the case that the state thinks that they have against him. And of course, it's ultimately it's up to a jury to decide. But I'm more than happy to have the public watching this come to their own conclusions and see that Mr. Kendrick is not guilty of these crimes. So, yeah, I think, and I know that people view it for entertainment value. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that either. And I just, as a personal background, I mean, I spent 10 years in Asia working over there. And one of the things I did there was educate people about the U.S. legal system. So I think anytime you can educate people about the U.S. legal system, to demystify it, to let people see it's not necessarily behind the curtain, because there shouldn't be a curtain there, but to let people see that, I think it's all great. And I love that y'all are educating people. And it's one of the reasons I'm coming on your show.
Awesome. Love that. Go ahead.
No.
I thought you had a question.
Maybe you'll have one I'll answer. You can go ahead and try.
Two more questions then, if you don't have any others. The next question is, what does this do for the morale of your client, of Mr. Kendricks, as well as you and your team representing him? When, I mean, it's been 18 months at this point. It's been long. It's been a lot of on and offs, and half days and off days, and then you start and then you stop. It's a lot of that. So it's just, I imagine, natural to be wavering and feeling not defeated, but maybe just exhausted is maybe the word. And so then this happens, right? Then it feels like a victory from our perspective. It's like you got the transcript, all of the things that you said, but what does this mean? What happens next? And so with everything that's happened recently, I'm just curious how what the morale is feeling like for you guys.
Yeah. Let me just start with, and again, I'm just going to speak for myself and Mr. Kendrick. Just one second. Sorry. We are absolutely thrilled with what's happened with this decision by the judge yesterday. It's what we've been asking for. I mean, look, Mr. Kendrick has been locked up. Diamante's been locked up for 26 months in Rice Street. He's been in trial for 18 months, 19 months, wherever we are now. It is challenging to come to court. It's not every day, as you know, but on so many days. And some of the days are, if you're not a lawyer, have got to be tedious to sit through. So there are good days, there's bad days. Most of the time, the morale is really good. This particular event that occurred is wonderful news, because we've always felt that if we get a fair trial, we're going to get a not guilty verdict. And that's all we're looking for, is a fair trial. Let's see the state present their case. To the extent we decide to, we'll put on our own case. And then Diamante can go home, and he can start performing again and recording and doing all the things he loves and that people love about him.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, my final question, and hopefully it's not too crazy. But
I will say the mood in the court. Let me just say, in general, the mood in the courtroom on my side of the courtroom was very positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sure.
Have you ever been in a court case that's been so controversial, or
I've never been in a case like this.
Okay.
I mean, I've never been in a trial like this. I've never seen a trial that goes this long. I mean, it's the longest in Georgia history. It's
Yeah.
probably one of the longest in U.S. history.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anything like this. And then just the stuff that has gone on that y'all have
Yeah.
documented, y'all have
Yeah.
covered since this has started up. 10 months of jury selection.
Man.
It's just crazy, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, I don't think any of us have seen anything like this. Now, Keith Adams, who's an awesome lawyer,
Yes.
he's awesome. I love to watch his cross
Me
examinations.
too.
If you want to learn how to cross examine someone, watch Keith. Um, he was in the Atlanta public school system cheating case.
Oh, that
Um,
trial.
he
Oh.
was in that trial, and I think that was maybe a 9-month trial, including
Mm-hmm.
jury selection. And I believe there was racketeering. It was a RICO case as well.
Yep.
So he's had some experience in something similar to this, but this is foreign to most of us as far as just the absurdities that take place at times during the trial and the length of the trial.
Yeah.
I asked that because Glanville and him arguing with the lawyers, and
Oh,
I
my.
mean just the craziness that goes on. I'm like, what am I watching? What's
Yeah.
happening?
You
But
know,
it's a court.
most now I will say this. I think the most of the time the interactions between the lawyers and Chief Judge Glanville, I think they tend to be pretty respectful. I think he's for the most part respectful of us, and we're respectful of him, and we respect his position. And I think that it's just been a long trial, so at times nerves can get frayed, and
Yeah.
as much as everyone wants to, at times, you can get each side, each the judge and then some of us can get a little frustrated.
Yeah.
But we try to tamp that down and keep things collegial, and for the most part, I think we get along okay in there.
Yeah.
And even our relationship with most of the prosecutors is good.
Uh-huh.
Most of the prosecutors is
Noted.
good.
I'll ask one question. We only have a few minutes, and hopefully this is one that you won't. We'll see. We have a section on this podcast where it's called Mel's Mini Bar, because I entertain sometimes the idea of taking the baby bar in California. So I'm always learning new words and what that means.
Yeah.
And attorney-client privilege was brought up by Judge Glanville, I believe, as he was asserting something about the ex parte. And I'm curious if you could tell us in less than 5 minutes
Sure.
what that is, like what is attorney-client privilege. And it seemed like Mr. Steele was going beyond the idea of, I think, regular lay people's understanding is like what is said between an attorney and a client cannot or should not, unless the client agrees, be talked about or released. So anyway, can you talk about attorney-client privilege and what that is?
Well, I think you've conveyed the gist of it, which
Okay.
is that information that a client gives to their attorney in seeking legal advice, and that's part of that is important in seeking legal advice, and the information that the attorney gives to the client providing legal advice, those communications are privileged. So for the most part, a privilege meaning, they can't come out, they can't be disclosed, the attorney cannot disclose them. And also, it's a little broader than that, because there's arguments that some information that we gather in the course of counseling a client can be attorney-client privileged. But there's also another concept, which Brian Steele, I think, got into in court, which is attorney work product. And that is information that we generate or gather. That can be information that is privileged as well, just to simplify it. And that information is not disclosed. Now, like everything in law, there's a million exceptions to everything, and there's reasons that it can come out. But in general, and the important part to remember about that attorney-client privilege is that privilege, that right to keep it secret, that's held by the client. So our client is the one, we can't make the call to disclose things. That's up to the client that can make that call to say, okay, I'm going to waive that privilege and I'm going to let you disclose certain things.
Got it.
All of that's very complicated. You have to be very careful with it. If there's third parties present, like at one point, it seemed that Chief Judge Glanville was saying from the bench that there was some privileged communication in this transcript and he was going to need to scrub that.
Yeah.
And, I've spent weeks thinking like what could be privileged, what communication between Caleb Bumpus and Mr. Copeland could be privileged when there's all these other people in the room. Because if you have third parties there, for the most part, you lose the privilege. So I'm trying to fathom what privilege could be there.
Right.
And I guess eventually he decided, well, there isn't any.
Yeah.
And so he released it all.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah.
Very helpful. Thank you
Sure.
so much. I appreciate you joining us so much. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We will obviously continue following, keeping up with everything. So again,
Please do.
Thank you for joining us.
And keep up the great work, you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate your energy and go Braves.
All right.
from
That's
Atlanta.
right. You got my go Braves.
Go Braves.
Okay. And
All right.
anchor down. That's my Vandy thing. See you guys later.
All right.
All right.
We did that.
You did that.
We did
You
it.
did that. And I be telling Mel.
You guys.
Hold on.
We did it.
Hold on. I be telling Mel she is fire.
Thank you.
She is fire with this.
Thank you.
And she got a lawyer of 25, 30
oh my
plus
gosh,
years
I love Doug Weinstein.
complimenting
So
her.
Great.
I'm telling you.
That was great. No,
Your voice, your demeanor, the way you present yourself, how
I
you
feel like
articulate
I was
the
actually
words.
talking really fast, like because I was like conscious of his time, and I'm like fumbling over my
That
words.
was perfect. Everybody was probably like,
He
yes,
was
speak like this all the time.
amazing.
You kept.
He
you
said
kept
bad
the
shit on
attention.
here.
Oh yeah, he said bad shit.
Yes, we love it.
The podcasts I've seen him on, they be relaxed.
Yeah,
I mean,
his demeanor helps
Oh,
that
yeah.
though. He's just very casual, which really helps.
you could have asked him anything personal, anything,
Well,
and he would have been like, "Oh, I'm not
He said,
answering
if
that."
I'm not answering, I'm not going to answer, but I'll answer. You can try. Well, shout out to that. Thank you so much for joining. This was great.
This is great. We 2 for 2 for guests.
We are. Shout out to Terrence. I know. I was thinking about the producer B Cox.
Yep.
Okay, Terrence's name is Terrence Cox, and I want to say another T Cox interview, like B Cox. His tag, another B Cox. What do you say? Hit.
I was about to say I don't know.
Anyway,
about
this
that
will have to be edited anyway. Thank you guys. Thank you to the Patreon for joining us live. If you are not in Patreon and joining this afterward, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, do all of the things. We have more exciting things happening because the Patreon be looking out. And so more things happening. We have some interviews coming up for Karen Reed as well. So please like, share,
That's what I
do
wanted.
all the stuff.
I wanted to ask him about Karen Reed, but anyway,
He's probably so consumed with YSL. Well,
that shit crazy.
we gonna have him back. And if you know Keith Adams, tell him I want to talk to him. And if you know any jurors from Karen Reed, tell him I want to talk to him. All right, until next time, bye.